Survived basic economy journey, transatlantic, folks. It can be done. There's a real hierarchy of how you're treated when you're when you're sitting in row 1 or row 3. Trust me, you're going to be treated a lot more deferentially than when you're in row 54, as we were. Good morning, folks. I am on a flight, an Airbus 321 Delta Airlines from from Orlando to JFK. Gonna have a little layover, and then we're going overnight to Milan tonight. And I want to tell you guys, what is it like to travel as a basic economy passenger on Delta? And been on Delta Airlines many, many times before, but never did basic class. What am I doing in basic class? Well, we saw a $666 round trip airfare heading from Orlando to Milan. I thought that deal was too good to pass up. I've gone on basic economy with other airlines. It's not great usually, but you kind of get through it. It's a very restrictive ticket. Can't change things, can't go standby, no seat assignment. But first of all, on other airlines, with the basic economy, when you get your boarding pass 24 hours in advance, you do get your seat assignment. Not on Delta. Damn, man. No! Set my alarm to check in 24 hours before our first flight, the flight to JFK. And by the way, I'm recording here in JFK too. It's JFK Airport, beautiful Terminal 4 of JFK Airport, and could not get the boarding pass. It said seats assigned at gate. Oh my God. So that was unwelcome news. I should say too, coming into these reviews, my review is about the current experience, the one that I'm having right now, but I come into it with a lot of experience on these airlines. So I've been on Delta many times before, and I have a generally positive impression of Delta coming into this airline, coming into this review, because of the big ones, of the big American carriers, it's really good. But the competition is horrible, right? Anyways, I'm coming into this with a positive experience, but day before our flight, I decided I want to try to change our flight. Holy cow, man, what an ordeal. Tried to change the flight on their website first, just getting repeated errors. Tried to change it again on the app. Same thing, could not do it. What the hell is going on, right? And so neither of those worked, and so I'm like, all right, let me call them. Call Delta Airlines, right? And I know none of you would believe me, so I actually screenshotted this. But it said 2-hour wait when I called, and I thought, 2-hour wait, that's insane. But I was working anyway, so I just put the phone on speaker on my desk and just left it there, right? Long story short, 5 hours later, I waited on hold for 5 hours, people. After 5 hours on hold, was I actually able to achieve my objective? No, I was not. But the people I dealt with on the phone after 5 hours were quite good, but they told me about the other options, and they were all completely unpalatable. And I said to the guy at the end of the phone call, dude, I waited on hold 5 hours. Do you think you could at least give me some seat assignments for our flights, even though I'm in the basic class? And he said, you know what? It's Christmas, even though it isn't Christmas, it's March. I'm gonna do that for you. And he gave us seat assignments for all 4 flights, there and back. So I'm like, dude, all right. So I ended up getting seat assignments. Now, were they good seats? No, we just came off of the flight from Orlando to JFK, and we were right next to the toilet. And wow, I do not like being right next to the toilet, but it wasn't too bad. Flight was a little over an hour late. And these days, like, wow, only an hour late. So, first flight, it was an hour late. Airbus A321, very standard aircraft, relatively comfortable. The power, they've got power jacks in there for you to charge your devices. There's a pouch. There's pretty damn good entertainment. I'm telling you, man. We watched the SEC basketball tournament on ESPN. So there's like ESPN, there's ABC, ESPN2, a handful of other channels, not a ton, but it worked. We watched some TV. That was nice. The entertainment is really good. They're supposed to have free Wi-Fi, like all these free Wi-Fis. If you're a SkyMiles member, which I am, you're supposed to get free Wi-Fi on the plane. Do you think the free Wi-Fi worked? The free Wi-Fi did not work. And was I surprised? Folks, so we're on a Boeing, 767-400 here from, where are we, Leo? We're in Orlando, heading to Milan tonight. One of the first ones on board, so I'll just show you about yeah, JFK, absolutely. So this is kind of like what it looks like. The configuration is 2, 3, 2. We're stuck in 2. We're in row 50. But hey, man, basic economy. I guess I'm lucky to even get that. I'm not very close to the. I think it goes to about row 60 or so. So I'm fairly close to the toilet, but not too close. I do a middle seat today. My son is in an aisle. I'm just sitting here for the moment just to film this. But pretty good entertainment system. It's the same as the last flight that I showed you. There's movies. Is there any live TV, Leo? Or there's no live TV this time, is there? It's just movies, right? Now it looks like the live TV is only for domestic flights, I guess, but there are movies. So if you want, you bring a headphone jack. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the, you know, if you have like a pair of Bose Quiet Comfort, which I have, you can use the headphone jack and plug it right into here and listen on nice headphones. Otherwise, you're going to use the $2 headphones that they give you. You can charge devices down here. There is a pouch. The seat width is about standard. You can see I'm 5'11". This is how much legroom I have. It's a decent amount. It's completely adequate. We are going to be served a meal. We'll see what that is, and I'll tell you about it. But yeah, that's what we got here so far. Here's the plane. We made it to Milan. Arrived a few minutes early too, maybe 15 minutes early. And man, this airport is absolute pandemonium, which is not Delta's fault. We survived a basic economy journey. Transatlantic, folks. It can be done. Overall experience. You know, it can only take one really irritating flight attendant to mess your flight up. We had this woman who, she has to be a former drill sergeant. I'm telling you, man, just tough, you know, like a real taskmaster. She came by, you know, you're trying to get a little sleep on an overnight flight. Everybody's sleeping, 95% of the people on the plane are sleeping. She comes by, wakes everybody up to put your seats up. Get those seats up, push that button up, tray tables up, prepare for landing, we're landing. So we're like, what? I was like, looking at my watch, I'm like, what? We're not landing for another hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. What the hell is she waking us all up for? And I don't know why the hell she woke us up that early, to be quite honest with you. She was up, so she wanted to do it. But would I do this again? I'm gonna reserve judgment. We're flying on this account. Let's see what happens on the way home, on the way back to Florida. But I mean, the major thing is the seat assignments really bothers me, because you've got to pay with this basic economy. They wanted $39 to select seats per seat. There's two of us traveling for the first leg of the flight from Orlando to JFK, and then for the second leg from JFK to Milan, they wanted $89 per seat. So if I had selected seats for this entire journey for the both of us, that would have been around $500. Mind you, I paid $666 each for the fares. So yeah, I don't know. And I really dislike the lack of seat assignment thing. So I don't know. Let's see what happens on the flight home, folks. It is time to go back to the United States on Delta in basic economy class. So we made it here on basic economy. It wasn't too horrible. And we're on our way back. It looks like we're in row 54. Out of 57, there's 57 rows, we're in 54, but we are together and apparently in a twosome spot. Configuration is 232 on this aircraft. And so that's not too bad, but row 54, not ideal. Boeing 767-400, so the configuration is 232. I am 170 pounds and 5'11". This is the legroom that you get, very standard. And we're in row 54. And there's 57 rows. So we're pretty close to the bathroom, but we're right now in the bathroom. And not too bad. One more tip I'm gonna mention is if you're traveling internationally and you're coming back into the US and you're a US citizen, get this CBP MPC app. I'll show it to you here. And so you can pre-submit your passport information on the app online. So then when you get into the airport, it's usually a shorter line. You look for a line that says MPC. And I'll show you. So I've entered all of my information, and it says, and at the end it says, have you arrived at JFK Airport? And you just answer, no, you have not. But then when you land, you click yes, submit now, and then you can go into the lane that says MPC, which is usually a lot shorter. Here's our lunch. We've got some gnocchi with spinach, tomato sauce. We've got a tomato and oregano focaccia, little salad, and a salted caramel tiramisu. Not bad, right? Let's see how it tastes. This gnocchi is legitimately good, guys. This is the real deal. It's good. You know, you're wondering about the salted caramel tiramisu. On point. It's legitimately good. Warm, piping, actually like piping hot chocolate chip cookies. Let's try these babies. Not bad. Not bad at all. Actually pretty good. So they're giving us one more item. Mediterranean pizza twist, margarita. And I lied, 2 more items. Chocolate bar, which looks pretty good. Not bad. Landed at JFK like something like 40 minutes early. Very good for a transatlantic flight. Pretty smooth. You know, the flight was like 8.5 hours long. They gave us lunch and also a snack. I was thinking there might be dinner, but it wasn't too bad. I can't complain about the quality of the stuff they gave us. Service was decent, you know. I mean, when you're sitting in row 54, I think there's really an inverse proportionality to how well you're treated. I'm sure some of the cabin crew treat everybody the same, but there's like Delta and most of these other airlines, there's a real hierarchy of how you're treated. When you're when you're sitting in row 1 or row 3, trust me, you're going to be treated a lot more deferentially than when you're in row 54, as we were. I have a relative who's a 5 million miler for Delta. And remember how I told you at the beginning of the video that I waited on hold for five hours waiting to talk to Delta before the flight? Believe me, he would never be on hold for even 5 minutes because he's a 5 million miler. He's got like a bat line he can call immediately. And you know, these airlines, they know how to take care of their best customers. So I don't feel like we were treated great, but that's pretty similar across all these airlines. So the flights there and back were fine. You know, I'm going to give them an A-, which might be generous, considering that I waited on hold for 5 hours to talk to them the day before the flight. But I'm encompassing the entire experience here. Also taking off points. You know, the basic, should you do the basic economy or not? Would I do it again? I probably would because I'm a cheapskate. I love the low fare. Should you do it? That's the key question, right? A couple things to factor in. First of all, how do you feel about middle seats? If you're comfortable with middle seats and you're traveling like with a family or whatever, and you don't mind like you being in one middle seat, you know, your children being in different middle seats in another aisle, scattered around the plane. If you're completely cool with that, sure, go ahead. Also look into the cost of the baggage because there's a few different things to factor in. I think the middle seat thing is a big one. Also, you know, the other punishment for having the basic is boarding last. But I mean, there's so many different ways to board sooner, folks. You know, active duty military, people who need more time, traveling with small children. Like, I mean, you could probably fall in under one of those. And also too, you can just play dumb. Like if you really don't want to be the last one to board, just board a little earlier. I hate to say this, you really shouldn't do this, but I know everybody does it anyways. You could board a little earlier and probably get away with it. So it's really up to you, folks. Key factors, how much you're going to pay for baggage and how you feel about middle seats. But I'm still giving them an A- because I think Delta is still a little bit better than the other big American airlines. And we got there and back pretty effortlessly. It's a little addendum to my Delta Airlines review. I thought the review was over. I gave them an A- very prematurely. The trip was over. 3 of the 4 legs were completed. We'd gone transatlantic both ways. I felt comfortable giving them the A-. But then this morning we have an early morning connection back to Florida where we live, to Orlando. And I woke up in the middle of the night, like about 2 a.m. and I noticed I had a text. Woke up to go to the bathroom and I noticed I had a text from Delta saying that our flight to Orlando was canceled this morning. Oh, Jesus. So I looked and I saw they rebooked us on a horrible itinerary. Like we still had a very early flight. Like we had a 7:30 a.m. flight, but instead of to Orlando, it was to Atlanta. And then we were gonna have like a 3-hour layover in Atlanta and then get back to Orlando at like 3 p.m. So instead of going a direct flight to Orlando and being home, you know, being back in Florida at 10:30 a.m., we were instead gonna be in Orlando at like 3 p.m. with a connection, like basically a whole day debacle. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And then there was a button that said click for other options. And I clicked other options and then I changed the arrival city. Thank God that I thought to do that. So I checked options from Tampa and it said there was a direct flight at 7:30 a.m. to Tampa. And it said 3 seats left. We need 2, my son and I. So I grabbed 2 of them. Yes. So I guess I shouldn't dock them from the A-, but I think I'm going to anyways because it was only a complete, because first of all, the flight was canceled due to crew issues, which is, that's bogus, right? It's one thing if your flight is canceled due to weather, but crew issues, that's frustrating, right? And so I think I am docking them down to a B+, because the thing is that it was only by a complete fluke that I just happened to wake up at 2 a.m. and rebook that. If I had just, you know, my alarm had gone off this morning or whatever, I'm pretty damn sure that Tampa itinerary still wouldn't have been there. One more important thing about Delta's basic economy, and that's that you don't get any frequent flyer miles. So that if that's important to you, that's another thing to consider, that you're not going to be accumulating frequent flyer miles too. So there's a lot of negatives to the basic economy fare. We are arriving at and you just got to decide if it's worth it to you. If you've watched all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much. Drop me a comment below. Let me know your experience with Delta Basic Standard. And I will see you in the next adventure, folks. Adios.